Welcome to the Smarketing Show, hosted by award-winning B2B sales performance coach Rick Lambert, who has been selected by many of the world's most recognized companies to help them market and sell to win. Let's join Rick now.
Hello, welcome to today's Smarketing Show. Today's show is a special episode for me because I get the chance to interview someone that runs all of Xerox's sales training globally for over 7,000 partners, direct operations. And I think if you're a sales professional, you're really going to enjoy today's conversation. You know, I wanted to be a professional hockey player, in case you don't know, and obviously by the fact that I'm here today, that didn't quite work out for me. So I wanted to go to a company that would really take my raw skills and train me as a sales professional. I selected Xerox, which I still think today is the best company in terms of delivering professional selling skills. And my guest today, Lorraine Curling, is the head of global sales learning and development for Xerox Corporation. Lorraine, thanks so much for joining me today.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, I've got my Google Translate on to translate your UK accent, just so I'll be able
I
to
apologize for that.
You know, you've got a really important position given the way sales is changing today. And we'll talk about, you know, the transitions you see from yesteryear's sales model to today. But, you know, in the role you have right now, maybe you could talk about where you started and kind of how you got there, because I think it's important. When I worked at Xerox, so many career opportunities, and a lot of times, you know, sometimes companies hire from the outside, but you're an awesome example of how Xerox promotes from within.
Yeah, well, I've got kind of a different journey to most, I would say, because I came to, and I'm not even going to tell you even how long I've been in the organization, but all I'll tell you is it's over half my life. So I came in very young, but I actually came into the organization and I was fixing fax machines over the phone in a tiny little help desk in a small place in the UK called Uxbridge. And really what Xerox gave me the opportunity, and they still do today, is to learn. And the fact is, and you're right, you know, there's not many organizations where, you know, I didn't come in with the raw materials as such. I came in with a technical background, but I learned and I managed to change roles every, you know, kind of 4 years. I would go into another role. I was technical support for one, then I was doing European training. I've done lots of marketing roles. I had a fantastic opportunity, which really taught me so much, particularly around sales, is the fact that I had a business development role in what we used to call developing markets. It's now called emerging markets. So I spent a lot of time on a plane, a lot of time in thousands and thousands of sales calls across the world. And it really got me to understand what is it that we need to do to be successful as a salesperson, because that's changed drastically over the years. And then, you know, it was almost my dream job taking this job a few months ago officially. But, you know, the fact that Xerox have dedicated a whole area of learning and development just for sales really shows its dedication to developing the sales professionals to, you know, sales leaders and beyond, really.
Well, you know, I didn't know your background before we met prior to this interview. And I just think it's awesome that you come from the front lines, because so many people, I think, come from a classroom and they understand concepts, but I just think your path makes you extremely credible. And you're right, you know, for years, Xerox, I've always said, you know, they showcase their technology, which is, you know, won mega awards. And at the same time, I think sometimes the sales training doesn't get the same visibility in terms of what the company really offers today's professional. Now, that said, you know, we're talking about sales, and you know, we've just come through this COVID era, you know, digital transformation of the sales profession, the customers advancing in terms of their awareness of what's going on. I thought, you know, given your seat looking at it through a global lens, what have you seen in terms of the changes in the sales profession and how it's evolved?
So it has evolved, and mainly because our clients are more informed than they've ever were before. You know, we all know how busy we are. I'm sure that you get emails, and how many of those emails you respond to. As you go up the chain, go as high as a CFO or a COO, how many emails do they actually reply to? So a salesperson writing, you know, hi, I've got a good opportunity for you, I've got some good equipment, or I've got an offer for you, chances are people are not going to open that anymore. So you have to think about, you know, when you do approach a client and you actually get an appointment, they're already interested. They already know who Xerox are. They already know that potentially there is a gap in their organization. They've got a business problem that they need fixing. The thing is, they might not know what that business problem is or not know how big it is. So they want somebody with the credibility. As you said, Xerox has always had amazing equipment and amazing technology and amazing R&D. They already know that piece. So by the time we go in, we need to truly become that business consultant and really listen to our clients. But also, the one thing that I will honestly say, and this is something that we try and drive through every single training interaction that we have, is you need to be business curious. It's not about, I remember years ago with, can we have training on the banking sector? Can we have training on this vertical? And it's not about having training on those verticals, because I don't want to go to a bank and be a banking expert, because they know that I'm not a banking expert. They know that I sell Xerox software and services. What they're expecting from me is to be able to know my business, to be able to uncover how we can help them as an organization. And that means, not going on Google and typing in the client's details and just spending the whole time lifting things off their webpage. That's not enough anymore. It's actually diving in, understanding a little more about the pain points, being able to start that business conversation. And that for me is really exciting, because, the sales now is not just about how many can I sell, what is the price. It's I'm now a business consultant. And particularly if you are, first into this role, and we talked about the new hires, this is not just, a sales role in a square box anymore. This really gives you the insight to understand businesses. And I think that's really exciting.
Well, you mentioned being curious, business curious. And I think that's a element that it'd be maybe difficult to pick up on an interview when you're interviewing a salesperson, but it's absolutely, I think, a quality that the elite ones have. And that makes them ask more questions, et cetera. Now, on the note of a consultant, quick Xerox story for you, if I may. I'm speaking to a group of Xerox direct sales reps years ago down in, I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the VP at the time, sales with Xerox, introduced me. Hey, we got this guy, Rick Lambert, this sales consultant guy, going to talk to you today. And I stepped up to the mic and I said, hey, just before I talk, if any of you guys got a definition of what a consultant is. And this older guy at the back row had been there a while, apparently, cowboy boots on, the whole bit, put his hand up. And he says, yeah, I'll tell you. And I said, sure, sir, what is it? He says, well, it's a guy from out of town, a consultant. So that was the best definition I've ever heard. But anyway, I think having a business conversation or a strategic business conversation as a consultant, one that brings, objectivity, some intelligence, some awareness, some experience, isn't easy. And so what do you think makes that strategic business conversation? Like, how would you describe that?
Again, it's being prepared. More than ever before is being prepared. We used to, there's a fantastic picture I saw very recently of a traditional sales conversation. And it was two people in a tennis game, and they were batting questions, one to another. People don't have time for that anymore. They really don't have time. So, as a salesperson, you need to go in to be prepared, but not prepared with a list of, and we've all done it in the past, even I have when I've trained people, a list of open questions that you need to ask the client. It's about, if you were to sit next to somebody on a plane and you've now got, an hour's plane journey with them, and they start off the conversation by saying, who do you work for? Because that's generally what people do. That's being able to have that kind of relaxed conversation, because you would on a plane with a CEO, by trying to get to know his business. So what questions would you ask that person on the plane to understand a little bit more about their business and what their business problems are? And you'd feel comfortable doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when suddenly
Absolutely.
there's a desk in the middle, or there's a camera involved, we get a little bit nervous. And actually, we're all people at the end of the day. And the fact that you would be interested in their business being able to ask the right questions. And being prepared is not having a list of open questions. It's about doing a little bit of research, being a bit business curious, by being able to drip feed into that conversation to start the conversation. Once that, regardless of their level, once they understand that you're comfortable with talking business, you'll be amazed how much they'll let you know, certainly, and how many people that they'll give you access to as well, which is important.
Well, you raise a few good points there, because I remember I was coached by a great sales manager at Xerox. He said, Rick, the last thing we want to do in this meeting with this executive one time is talk about products, and don't even bring them up. And it was very counterflow to me at the time. When I do live events, often I'll ask the audience, finish this sentence to your point. Great salespeople are great what? And the most common answer I get, Lorraine, is great communicators, great people, great with people. And my answer is great salespeople are great posers of great questions. Back to your point about, and I think too seldom salespeople today come prepared with great questions. The age-old meeting in the car or the lobby, the sales manager, the sales rep, what are you going to say? I'm going to tell them this. Are you going to tell them that? You're going to talk about this, as opposed to what are we going to ask them?
Yeah.
That I think stimulates the business conversation at a level above product. So, as we think about, and I agree with you, it's about strategic business conversations now. The products will come in or services in behind. You've got a wide range of tenure within the Xerox Corporation. Well, a lot of our viewers do as well. So how does Xerox prepare a sales professional today to have that strategic business conversation? Maybe they're a new hire, maybe they're midway through their career, they haven't quite figured out the secret yet. How are you guys enabling people to do that?
Okay, so without telling you the ins and outs of our training strategy, the one thing that we try to focus on is, how we all learn as adults. And I can guarantee that, you've just told me a story about, an experience in Xerox where somebody asked you what a consultant was. So I'll relay that conversation to somebody else because I've learned from you. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we make sure is that we have an environment where people learn from each other. We ensure that, we're from day one is that people are confident to be curious. So how do you start the journey of curiosity? Because, when we're children, we ask why a lot and what a lot, and, our parents are listening to us. Then suddenly we become teenagers and we know it all. So we don't talk to anybody about anything. But then we get into this world where we're starting to want to know why. So, being able to ask the right questions to your manager, being able to use the resources that Xerox has, because like you say, we've been around a long time and we've got amazing resources that are open to them. So what is it that we can help them with to start on that? But moreover than anything, and it's certainly the one thing that I will honestly say in my career has helped me, and certainly it's one thing that Xerox drives throughout the organization, whether you're in sales or anything else, is promoting and having good mentoring programs so that they have, whether it is their sales managers through coaching after training, whether it's having a mentor that's outside of your own kind of work frame. They sponsor that a lot. And I can honestly say that whether it's inside or outside of your own organization, having a mentor and being able to practice, and I've always said this about any learning experience, we all learn by kind of falling over and standing back up again. And the best thing is to do that in front of, a safe environment with either your manager, with your facilitator, your trainer, or even a mentor, than it is the first time you do it in front of a client. So that's one of the things that we strive throughout, and it's a development journey. I see new hires come into the business, and as I say, I've been around quite a long time, and I see people today that are extremely successful, and I remember them when they first came into my classroom years ago. Who were scared to even say anything. And it's about having a journey, because we don't learn everything first of all. We have to learn as the journey as we go on. And that's how, we design the training, how we ensure that we've got fantastic sales managers to coach them. And of course, mentors that are always there to support people on their journeys.
From the outside, and we're really proud to have the opportunity to partner with Xerox over the years. And one thing I think you folks do extremely well is you provide a safe forum for people to develop excellent coaching, and that's really a person's role within the organization, as opposed to, hey, download these files and figure it out yourself. I just think the mentorship you talked about is absent in a lot of environments today, as people have streamlined, right size, whatever you want to call it. But I really admire what you do on a global scale, and how Xerox is maintained. I would say, the best sales training I've seen anyway, from start, even for advanced people who want to, advance wherever they are after working half their lives for a company. But hey, listen, as we wrap up here, if you had to give maybe one piece of advice to salespeople today, given where we're at and how to become more of a business consultant, what would you suggest?
Good question. And as you know already, I can talk a lot. So I've now got to think of something short and sweet. I would certainly say that the one advice I can give is to listen to learn, not to respond. Because generally, when we're in a sales conversation, the minute that a customer is talking, you're already thinking of a feature, a function that the machine does that fixes that problem. But actually, if you stop and you listen to learn a bit about their business, I can guarantee there's probably 4 or 5 other questions that you need to ask before we've got to any solution. So that would be my small piece of advice.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And traditional training is if this, then that, if this. And I think the more mature we get as a seller, we're able to be a little more patient with listening. And anyway, I just want to say thank you for joining me today. Congratulations. I know personally so many people that what you folks do at Xerox do to help at the individual level, team, and obviously the company level. It was great hearing from you, because you're seeing a global lens, not just a Canada, US, etc.
Yeah.
So folks, if you're listening today, think about what Lorraine said there in terms of being having a strategic business conversation. And I'm suggesting, don't lead with your product as an obvious, but I have seldom found business leaders that don't like talking about their business. And if you catch Lorraine offline, she'll tell you about what a great job she did back when she was in sales and didn't talk at all about the Xerox products, and they didn't want to leave the office. Hey, Lorraine, what's the best way for people to, is it best to have people connect with you on LinkedIn if they'd like to learn more? And of course, they could contact their local Xerox representative in their market. Would that be good?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. But as I say, you've also got your local people as well. So
awesome. Congrats on what you're doing to help people worldwide. And thank you very much for being my guest today on This Marketing Show.
Thank you very much, Rick. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of This Marketing Show. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share, and subscribe to get the latest B2B insights to help you market and sell to win.